everyone, welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. You're watching WION The World this month. I'm Jyotsna Kumar. Let's start with the headlines.
No, I haven't. So, but I don't know that we're going to have it. But I'm going to be there regardless, so I would assume we might have it.
U.S. President Donald Trump signals he may still meet Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping later this month, even as he announced an additional tariff of 100% on all Chinese imports. Nineteen people are missing and several killed after a massive blast ripped through a U.S. military explosives plant in Tennessee. Footage shows smoldering debris at the factory in Hickman County, with charred and mangled vehicles strewn across the facility. Thousands of displaced Palestinians returned to their abandoned homes after a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas went into effect, and Israel's defense forces completed first phase of their withdrawal in Gaza.
I think it'll hold, yeah. I think it'll hold. They're all tired of the fighting.
U.S. President Donald Trump expresses confidence that a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas will hold, but questions remain over who will govern Gaza as Hamas and other Palestinian factions reject any foreign guardianship of Gaza. French President Emmanuel Macron reappoints Sébastien Lecornu as Prime Minister just days after he quit the job. The move has enraged some of the president's fiercest political opponents, who pledged to vote out the new government. At least 8 people killed in the powerful quakes that struck off the southern Philippines on Friday. A 7.4 magnitude earthquake in the morning was followed by multiple aftershocks, including one measuring 6.7. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un claims Pyongyang displayed its new intercontinental ballistic missile Hwasong-20 at the military parade to mark the 80th anniversary of the foundation of its ruling party. Police and protesters clash in Pakistan's Lahore. Tear gas fired after supporters of the radical Tehreek-e-Labbaik Pakistan threw rocks at security officers as authorities blocked their attempt to march to Islamabad. The White House has started mass layoffs as the government shutdown enters week 3. President Trump blames Democrats while unions and lawmakers called the firings illegal. Over 4,000 federal workers have already lost their jobs. Now, a fragile ceasefire in Gaza appeared to be holding after Israel began to pull back its forces, and tens of thousands of exhausted Palestinians made their way back to their devastated homes. Gaza's coastal road along the Mediterranean was clogged with refugees as humanitarian trucks prepared to surge aid into the devastated strip. The initial withdrawal by the Israel Defense Forces was completed at noon local time on Friday, starting a 3-day window in which Hamas must release the hostages. Israel now controls just over half of Gaza and will be obliged to withdraw further during the next stages of U.S. President Trump's 20-point peace plan. The Gaza Civil Defense Agency confirmed that Israeli troops and armored vehicles were pulling back from forward positions in both Gaza City and Khan Yunis. But Israel warned some areas were still off limits and that Palestinians should steer clear of its forces while they were adjusting operational positions in the Gaza Strip. Around 250,000 Palestinians had returned to the north since the ceasefire took effect. Now, Trump himself expressed confidence that the ceasefire would hold, telling reporters that Israel and Hamas were all tired of the fighting. Trump said that the hostages held by Hamas in Gaza are due to come back on Monday. He confirmed that he would be traveling to Cairo and he would later speak to the Israeli Knesset.
And how confident are you that the ceasefire will hold?
I think it'll hold, yeah. I think it'll hold. They're all tired of the fighting. As you know, on Monday, the hostages come back. They're getting them now. I mean, they're getting them now. They're in some pretty rough places under earth. They're in some pretty rough places where only a few people know where they are, in some cases. So they're getting them, and they're also getting the bodies, approximately 28 bodies. And some of those bodies are being unearthed right now as we speak.
But questions remain over who will govern Gaza as Israeli troops gradually pull back and whether Hamas will disarm, as called for in President Trump's ceasefire plan. Palestinian factions, including Hamas, Islamic Jihad, and the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, issued a joint statement on Friday rejecting any foreign guardianship over Gaza, stressing that its governance is a purely internal Palestinian matter. They also expressed their readiness to benefit from Arab and international participation in the reconstruction of the enclave. Russia continues its onslaught on Ukraine with multiple missiles and drones targeting the latter's critical energy infrastructure. And in the latest, Ukraine's largest private energy company has said that it has restored power to thousands of households and companies in Kyiv. This is following a Russian airstrike. The energy company, DTEK, has said that in its Telegram channel that electricity has been restored to at least 678,000 households and companies in the Ukrainian capital. It also said that the company's engineers are working intensively to restore power to Kyiv's residents. With Moscow continuing its aerial assaults on Kyiv, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has accused Russia of taking advantage, while the entire world had diverted its attention towards West Asia.
Putin is obviously taking advantage of the moment when the world is focusing almost all its attention on the possibility of establishing peace in the Middle East. Most countries in the world, all key leaders, have focused their attention on what is happening there.
Zelensky also said that Russia deliberately waited for bad weather before launching its aerial assaults on Kyiv's energy infrastructure. The Ukrainian president blamed inclement weather conditions for the poor efficiency of the air defense systems.
The weather conditions affected our capability to repel by something like 20–30%. I think weather, has such consequences. But nevertheless, if we manage to almost restore water supply during the day, and I think there will be better solutions for power. The blow is strong, but it is definitely not fatal.
Zelensky also called on international partners to back Kyiv's air defenses, and furthermore, the Ukrainian president also hailed U.S. President Donald Trump for his success in Gaza, adding that Trump has the power to exert more pressure on Russian President Vladimir Putin to put an end to the war in Ukraine. Meanwhile, in Washington, U.S. First Lady Melania Trump has said that 8 abducted Ukrainian children have been reunited with their families in the last 24 hours, following negotiations with Russian President Putin. Melania stated that her team of representatives are constantly working with Putin's team directly to ensure the safe reunification of children with their families.
My representative has been working directly with President Putin's team to ensure the safe reunification of children with their families between Russia and Ukraine. In fact, 8 children have been rejoined with their families during the past 24 hours.
Now, a powerful 7.4 magnitude earthquake struck off the southern Philippines on Friday, causing widespread damage, knocking out power and tragically claiming at least 8 lives. Now, coastal communities were forced to evacuate amid tsunami fears as emergency teams scrambled to respond. Now, here's the next report to get you more details.
A powerful 7.4 magnitude earthquake rattled the southern Philippines just before 10 a.m. on Friday. Centered 62 kilometers southeast of Manay town in Davao Oriental province, the intense shaking caused buildings to crack, power lines to sway dangerously. In Davao City, home to over 5 million people, schools were evacuated as children rushed to safety.
Started shaking. I thought it was going to be like a typical weak earthquake. And then suddenly it got stronger to the point where like, the ceiling started to crumble a bit. And so we had to like just hid in our chairs. Everyone was like screaming. And then it went to the point where the whole panels, like in the Augie, like, it broke down. It like literally fell down. I even I think I inhaled some of the dust there from the panels.
Despite damage to several structures, including the city's international airport, flights continued without cancellations. Authorities quickly issued tsunami warnings for 6 coastal provinces, urging residents to move to higher ground. Fortunately, only small waves were detected and the threat subsided within 2 hours. But the danger remains as aftershocks continue. In Indonesia, small tsunami waves were also recorded, a reminder of the earthquake's regional impact. This latest quake comes just days after the Philippines was still reeling from a deadly 6.9 magnitude earthquake on the 30th of September, which claimed at least 74 lives and displaced thousands in Cebu province. The country's location along the Pacific Ring of Fire makes it one of the most disaster-prone places on Earth, vulnerable to earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and typhoons. Disaster response teams are now racing against time to assess the damage, provide aid, and prepare for any further tremors. Authorities continue to monitor the situation closely. For now, the focus remains on helping those affected and ensuring safety across the region. Bureau Report WION World is One.
Moving on, U.S. President Donald Trump imposed 100% tariffs on China from November 1st, and he also threatened to cancel his in-person meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping at the APEC summit later this month. Now, the fears of a global disruption in trades sent Wall Street stocks tumbling, wiping out $1.65 trillion in market value. Now, Trump's threats were in response to Beijing's silent retaliation to U.S. tech policies, and apart from unprecedented export license requirement for rare earth minerals, China hit U.S.-owned vessels docking in the country with new port fees. Now that is a tit-for-tat move and in response to U.S. semiconductor shipment ban. The Friday rout in markets started after Trump's social media post of massive tariff hike in retaliation to China's rare earth export licenses requirement. Trump acknowledged that he could retreat from his massive tariff escalation if the Chinese back down from threatening restrictions on rare earth. He also said it was still possible that he could meet Xi later this month.
No, I haven't canceled, but I don't know that we're going to have it. But I'm going to be there regardless, so I would assume we might have it. But, they hit the world with something that really is not anything that people are going to do. And it was shocking.
The U.S. stocks suffered their worst sell-off in 6 months. The S&P 500 wiped out its weekly advance after tumbling 2.7%. That is its worst day since April 10th, when the tariff-induced sell-off rattled financial markets. 10 of the 11 sectors in the S&P 500 traded lower, led by declines in technology shares. The tech-heavy Nasdaq 100 sank 3.5%. A basket of the so-called Magnificent 7 companies plunged 3.8%, led by losses in Tesla and Amazon.com, while Nvidia slid nearly 5%. The Wall Street's chief fear gauge, the CBOE Volatility Index, or VIX, top 20 for the first time since April. The only sector that surged was rare earth, with stocks skyrocketing. Now, crypto prices tumbled after Trump's tariffs hike. Traders saw more than $7 billion in positions liquidated in less than an hour. Bitcoin fell more than 12% to trade around $113,000 after hitting an all-time high of above $125,000 earlier in the week. Soybean futures plunged, extending earlier losses. Trump's social media posts contributed to dimming hopes for a U.S.-China trade deal that could restart stalled American soybean exports. Growers are busy harvesting while their top export market remains shut. Chicago soybean futures fell as much as 2% to around $10 a bushel, hitting session lows after Trump's social media post. Now, cotton futures fell to the lowest since April as the renewed threat against China, a major cotton buyer, will further hit demand. No other commodities from wheat to copper and oil also dropped after the president's comments. Oil prices crashed to the lowest since May as tensions ease in West Asia. Global supply surplus concerns underpinned bearish gloom. U.S. crude prices slumped 4.2% to settle below $60 a barrel. Crude was under pressure even before the U.S.-China trade war rhetoric. Trump was already chest-thumping on lower oil prices.
Prices have come way down. We've gotten prices way down for groceries, for oil especially. Today we broke $60 a barrel. We think the oil is going to be under $2 a gallon very soon. That's about 70% lower than what it was just a year ago. So that's a big thing. And when the oil comes down, everything comes down. It's pretty beautiful to watch.
For more on this, our correspondent Susan Terani has sent us this report from New York.
President Trump has threatened to impose 100% tariffs on all Chinese goods starting on November 1st. This after Beijing introduced new restrictions on rare earth mineral exports, material vital for U.S. industries from chips to fighter jets. Calling China's moves, quote, sinister and hostile, President Trump said that he may or may not cancel his meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping in South Korea. The White House is also weighing additional countermeasures, including export control on U.S. software. The confrontation set markets tumbling, the S&P 500 dropping over 2%. China, which produces about 70% of the world's rare earths and refines 90%, recently announced tighter global licensing rules that could disrupt supply chains for electric vehicles, semiconductors, as well as defense manufacturing, deepening tensions between the world's two largest economies. Susan Terwani reporting from New York for WION World is One.
Now, the United States Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has intensified his campaign against Tylenol. He warned that children who undergo circumcision as infants are twice as likely to be diagnosed with autism later in life. Speaking at a cabinet meeting, Kennedy pointed out a possible connection between autism and circumcision, citing research from 2013 and 2015 that linked the procedure to higher autism rates.
Yeah, go ahead.
There's also there's many other confirmation studies. There's 2 studies that show children who are circumcised early have double the rate of autism. And it's highly likely because they're given Tylenol. So, none of this is dispositive, but all of it is stuff that we should be paying attention to.
Now, both Kennedy and Trump set off a political firestorm last month when they urged pregnant women not to take Tylenol because of the unproven risk that its active ingredient, acetaminophen, increases the risk of autism. Now, this recommendation faced quick criticism from medical experts who pointed out that the evidence for the claim does not exist. And in response, Tylenol's manufacturer, Kenvue, said it is still reviewing scientific studies and maintains that current research shows no direct link between acetaminophen use in pregnancy and developmental problems in infants. While some studies report a possible link between Tylenol use and autism, others do not, and none have proven it causes the condition. Now, medical experts, including the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, state that the Tylenol can be safely used during pregnancy when taken under doctor's guidance. Finding the causes of autism has long been a central focus for Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Kennedy, for decades, has claimed that vaccines causes autism. Aryna Sabalenka kept alive her quest for a 4th straight title in Wuhan after defeating Elena Rybakina to reach the semifinals. The world number 1 will take 6th seed Jessica Pegula for a place in the final. It is the 13th chapter of the rivalry between Rybakina and Sabalenka. The top seed claimed the only break of the opening set in the 8th game and did not face a single break point on her own serve. 2022 Wimbledon champion Rybakina dropped serve in the opening game of the 2nd set. She was broken again to trail 4-1 before claiming one of those 2 breaks back in the following game. However, the number 8 seed was broken once while serving to stay in the match at 5-3 down. Sabalenka won the match with a scoreline of 6-3, 6-3 in an hour and 25 minutes. With this win, Sabalenka has proved her perfect record in Wuhan to 20-0. She's now just 2 wins away from a 4th title in as many appearances. The U.S. Open champion is also on an active winning streak of 9 straight matches. The world number 1 will have a chance to improve those numbers when she takes on 6th seed Jessica Pegula next. Now, Pegula has logged more than 15 hours on court over the past 13 days, and she looked tired when she faced Katerina Siniakova in the quarterfinals. The American dropped the first set 6-2 in just over 30 minutes, but she stormed through the 2nd set after dishing out a bagel. She continued the momentum in the decider and sealed a 2-6, 6-0, 6-3 victory in an hour and 39 minutes to reach her first Wuhan semifinal. Pegula will face another tough challenge against Sabalenka, a player she has not defeated in the last 2 seasons. And taking over Manhattan's Jacob Javits Center, pop culture fanatics have kicked off the New York Comic-Con. We'll leave you with this report. Do stay tuned. News and updates follow on the other side of this very short break. Keep watching WION The World.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
From Alia Bhatt and Deepika Padukone to Selena Gomez and Tom Holland, take a look at celebrities who have been vocal about dealing with mental health issues. Know all about Sean Diddy Combs' case and meet Indian singer Sonu Nigam. All this and much more with me, Diksha Bisla, on WION at these times.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide, because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION, World is One.
Creativity or algorithm? Story or simulation? Human or humanoid? We've come a long way in a very short time. Machines are overtaking the men who built them. What lies ahead? Find out on Check It Out only on WION at these times.
Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. To some, it's an extreme ideology. To others, it's the very soul of India. To some, it's rebellion. To others, it's a principle of nation building. Coming soon to challenge perceptions in RSS Centenary Year, Kesariya at 100.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide, because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION, World is One. From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
Vielleicht nur